Happy Monday to you. I am going to do this video every Monday. I'm going to make it routine until we can kind of see past everything that's going on, and maybe we won't get past everything that's going on. Maybe this will spill right into 2021. But let's be honest, you are the boots on the ground. And when you put comments here in this video and previous videos and last Mondays and such, if you take time and go back and look at those comments, you'll see just a vast amounts of information of everybody sharing information, giving updates on their experiences in the stores, whether it's the large box stores, whether it's the small mom and pop stores, the dollar stores. And there's also people there that are in the comments and that are our subscribers here in our family, that they work in grocery stores, that they have management there. There's people that stock, they work in the back rooms, that they leave these little tips and little nuggets of information on how things actually operate and how fragile the whole shopping experience situation is. And what a great opportunity to have at least once a week where everybody can jump on here, put your comments of maybe over the weekend of what you've experienced or as you've watched this video throughout the week. Jump in, pop in some comments, and even from other countries. We have some friends that are on here, if you paid attention, from England, and it's very interesting what's going on over there. I'd love to sit down and just pick their brains of all the different things they're experiencing. But if you kind of start researching England, you start seeing things pop up on the internet from this whole year about food shortages and just chances of problems, and be prepared. And you're starting to see more and more limits. If you've watched some of our friends on here, they talk about that and talk about some of the obstacles that they're now facing with getting their groceries. So I want to do this every week. Now, I do have a little story that I'd like to tell also of what motivates me to prepare for life and to do the best that I can. So if you stay with me for just a minute, I'd like to share that story with you. Several years ago, I still have a son, but it was my son was very young. He was around the 1 year age mark. This was down in Florida. We lived down there at the time, and we had went with another family, and it was just us dads kind of in charge of all the kids at the time. The wives hadn't made it to the dinner yet, and so we were all just sitting and talking. We were waiting outside of a restaurant. We had to wait in line. It was busy that day, and we were sitting around, and they had these really nice benches that you could sit on, and we were just kind of all chilling and hanging out. And my son at the time was with one of our other family members, and if you've had kids, and I've had 4, and you kind of know around that age that they start learning that they can kick, right? They get the strength in their legs, and they can kind of kick back and flop back, and you see them do it at the house, and they start experiencing and realizing they can do other things than just lay there. Well, that particular evening, he experienced that he could kick back, and he did. I was in the middle of talking in a conversation, laughing, having a good time, and then all of a sudden you'd hear this thump, like a bowling ball hitting the ground. And I immediately turned and looked, and it was my son. He had landed on the ground. It was an accident, and immediately became lifeless. I thought maybe concussion. I wasn't sure. It was very scary. I picked him up, and I was holding his neck, because I've always learned, I'm not a medical expert, but I've always just heard and learned you want to keep their neck very, very still. And I wasn't going to just let him lay on the ground, so I picked him up. I was on my knees, one knee down, and I was at a knelt position. So immediately I look up, and I said, "Hey, call 911." And I yelled it again. Somebody called 911, and I know they already were. But this is kind of one of those experiences that you start learning how to control panic, and you start learning how to control fear. And you can use that throughout your life. So I knew that fear and panic was not going to help my son in any way, shape, or form in this situation. Word was rapidly spreading even into the restaurant, and there was a nurse that came out, and she came out, saw the situation. My son was not moving. He became very stiff. The lips were beginning to turn purple, and the eyes had rolled up in the back of his head. And I said, "Here, take him. You're a nurse." And she's like, "No, no, no, no. Leave him right where he is." So we're waiting. It seems like an eternity. I don't know if you've ever experienced, if you've had to call 911, and it's just how it is. It just takes time, and when you're in the moment, this time just does weird things. And so finally, I mean, and I'm so thankful for our first responders and all that they do. Police started showing up, ambulance showed up, and they rushed over to the scene, and they see me kneeling down there. By then my legs, I think, were numb, but it didn't matter. And excuse me. So they came up there, and I'm like, okay, here he is, take him. I'm gonna put him on the stretcher. Do what you got to do, CPR. Get out the paddles. I don't know what you want to do. Well, they looked, and it's discouraging sometimes when you see people in leadership. And again, no fault on their own. It was a very grim situation, so I get it. The looks on their faces were almost that of no hope. They looked, and they would not take him from me. And they said, "We can't." And they said, we need to call Lifeline. So here I am. I'm still kneeling on one leg, and I haven't moved an inch. And so I need help. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever had a point in your life you felt like you've had no hope? That you're helpless. There's nothing you can do. Have you ever felt like that? That place of just helplessness and hopelessness? I tell you what, I've prayed in my life. I prayed. I was praying, God, I can't do anything on my own. I'm at a point where I have not strength that I could do to fix a situation. And it made me think too, and since that time, what a horrible time for your life to wait till that moment before you ever talk to God, before you ever pray. I mean, how do you do that? I sat back and I thought, well, if that was me, what if I just all of a sudden just said, "Hey God, I got a problem here. I know we've never met. I know you don't know who I am. We've never spoke. But I just want to, maybe rub the genie in the lamp, and Lord, I need your help." I'm thank God I wasn't in that situation. Thank God that I had some peace, and that somewhere deep inside I had hope. So I'm still on one knee and I'm praying. They call Lifeline. Well, all of a sudden more cop cars started showing up. They were blocking off. There was a big Home Depot parking lot right behind this restaurant, and one by one, boom, they were blocking and shutting off all the main entrances to this parking lot, and they were clearing it out. They were just shutting it down. And again, thank you, first responders. And so I'm standing there, and police were standing there. We're waiting for the chopper, and you can start hearing it coming from the distance. And we're sitting there, and seeing some of these grown men. Again, I'm crying. Some of these dads that are first responders. They have feelings too. Do you know that our police have feelings too? That they have families, they have children, they actually have their own emotions and their own things that they take home with them every day. And I gave them something to take home that day because they were crying. They were standing there. And so as I'm there, all of a sudden the chopper comes down, and it lands right in the parking lot. And the wind's blowing and all the dust and everything that's blowing around. Well, all of a sudden they come out, they bring the stretcher from the helicopter, and they finally, now I don't think I could stand up on my own at that point, but we got him on the stretcher, and they loaded him up, and I got to see my son go up in the helicopter. Now you can imagine, as a father, and still it's out of your control. And I remember I asked some of the police that were there, I said, "Where are you taking? Where's he going?" And they said that they're taking him to Shands Hospital there in Jacksonville, Florida area. And there's a trauma unit there for the serious traumas, and it's a very well-known hospital in the area for trauma, and their unit there. So I said, well, can I have a police escort? Can I have something that would help me to get to my son and be by his side no matter what's getting ready to happen? And I remember them saying, we can't do that. And they're crying. They said, we want to help you, but we're not allowed to do that. I said, well, radio ahead. You tell every department from here to there that I'm driving fast as I can, and I'm not going to obey any speed limits because I'm heading to go see my son. And we jumped in the van, and our family, we headed there, and we went as fast as I could. And I was on the interstate, and I know I was going 120, 130 miles an hour. Looked up, and right there on the hill facing me was a state trooper. And I thought, okay, well, this is going to be, I'm not stopping. But he didn't pull out. He didn't turn on his lights. He just let me keep going. So thank God they called ahead, because I didn't want to go to jail that day. So we got to the hospital. My parents had already beat us there, and they were in there, and I called the nurse and said, hey, I want to go back to with my son and stuff. And we finally got to go back, and they had a team of doctors around him. But thank God I looked and I saw, and he was awake, and he was alert, and he started to whine. He was starting to come out of whatever it was, and they ended up doing x-rays and all kinds of things on him, tests. Do you know that they couldn't find not one bruise? They couldn't find no interior bruising on his head. On the exterior, there was no internal bleeding, external bleeding. There was no kind of trauma to the brain. There was as if there was no sign that the event ever even took place. Now, I know babies are resilient. I know they are. But for this type of a situation where nobody wanted to touch them, and they have so many fears and worries and going on, that, you know what? Panicking wouldn't have done any good. Having hope and prayer is what it took. Now, if I had something I could do that was in my control to help prevent that better, or to help him after the fact, sure, we're going to do everything we can. That's why we prepare. That's why we prep. That's why I do this channel, because if there's anything that we can do for what's going on in the world around us, hey, look, the world's going to throw curveballs at you, okay? It may already have. You might be experiencing something today that you're already dealing with. And my testimony that, hey, you know what, you can still have hope. You can still have opportunities to prepare before some things happen. And that's what we're doing now. That's what we can't foresee into the future. We don't have that ability. We can watch signs. We can talk to each other. We can share information to each other. And that's what we're doing. That's the purpose of this video. And that's going to be the purpose of this Monday video that I'm going to do every Monday, as a chance to keep connected, a chance to inform. And even if things are going great, hey, that's awesome. That's great. So I guess if it's great, that means we're done, right? We just stop prepping, right? We're done. No, it's not. We keep pushing forward. We keep doing what we have to do, because we love our families, right? And we want to take care of ourselves as well. And we want to be able to plan for the unexpected. If we knew what the curveball was, it wouldn't be a curveball, right? If we already knew what life had coming up next, it wouldn't be a surprise, right? But that's unfortunately, that's what happens. So we're not being crazy. We're not being, unreasonable. We're just preparing for what life might bring one day. And that's why we prepare. And that's the bottom line. And that's when I had that happen many, many years ago, I realized, look, life is hard. Life throws curveballs at you, and sometimes it doesn't work out the best. Sometimes it doesn't have the happy ending to it. But you know what? We can still prepare. We can still get ready for what may come. So thank you for allowing me to share my story with you. I hope that shows you a little more insight on who I am. And as you continue to learn about me, just let you know I appreciate you. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the time to watch my videos. If you don't mind, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. You know how to do all that. And I will definitely catch you later this week. Y'all have a great day.